Hi there, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Beneath the Lift Tower. My name's Charles McGilvray, and as always, I'm joined by Simon Stacey and Jess Kebble. We're a fans podcast by fans for fans of Northampton Saints, and I hope everyone listening had a very good Christmas and has had a good excessive amount of turkey and grog, and you're all feeling great. And what more to add to that than a pretty spectacular Saints victory, no?
Yeah, it was all right, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, it was
Wow.
decent,
Absolute insane. When you saw that team and everyone was like, "Oh, why are we going? What's the point? I've paid this amount of money to go and watch the second string." That second string are not a second string, are they? Clearly, they're all off work off the same page and they all do exactly the same thing.
Yeah, I mean, it was an interesting call, like to rotate the squad and everything. But then, you know, busy with Christmas and whatever, and just before, sort of half an hour before the game, I really had a chance to have a look at it and think about it and look at the side, and you go through it and you go, oh, it's so stacked full of quality. Like it's like if we've all been going to the Saints for such a long time, but I can't remember a time when we've been anything like this in terms of depth. I mean, even when we won the league, it wasn't like this. Like absolute quality, and I sort of think that game might be a bit of a monumental shift because the talent's there, but it's the mindset of going there with that side and winning and away to Bath, the hardest game of the year. Like
Yep.
it's almost like they're good enough for the mental challenge of doing it. It's like now that they've done that, that could be such a huge step forward because if that squad can be really competitive in the Prem, it gives you the opportunity to start operating like a Leinster, where you can just rotate willy nilly, really have confidence in going well in the Prem, and then being able to compete really well in the Champions Cup. And I've said it a couple of times. We've got to do something this year because we can't keep hold of this squad forever, surely.
Yeah. No, totally right there. It was just insane. Like, obviously, I knew you guys. I was working, so I didn't see the result till afterwards. And I was like, I texted you both. I was like, "What the actual did I just not see? How the heck have we done that in the second half?" But yeah, well, I've watched the game back, and they were insane, especially Mr. Freeman. My God, that boy's got to be the best player on the planet at the minute. He's got to
Yeah,
be.
I mean that first try, like when we scored the first try of the game, we run that play probably 8 out of 10 times off an attacking line out in that position. We probably run that play where the hooker takes it on and you get a winger on the angle. We don't score 8 out of 10 times doing it, right? And there's a reason why we scored that because the angle was just perfection, wasn't it? He cut it such a hard at pace, took it flat, perfect angle running across the front row forward, covering that space. He like untouched essentially. He glided through. He is a cut above everyone in the Premier, I think, at the moment.
Yep, totally agree.
Yeah. I just felt a bit. I know I'd messaged you both before when we've seen the team, and I was like, I still feel like this team can pull a win out. Like everyone going on about it's a B side, it's a B side. I was like, is it? I was like, it didn't feel. I don't know. It didn't feel that way to me. They were going on about like 10 changes. I was like, yeah, but some of them are. A couple of the changes are bringing someone off a bench instead. So it's not like the whole entire team was rotated and people hadn't like played at all in like a period
Yeah,
of time. So I didn't really feel like I never really felt that way. Maybe that was just a weird thing of like myself because everyone else seemed to be online like this is really disappointing, yada yada. And I honestly thought even before it happened, even before the game, and people probably won't believe me because we've won. It's like you can say this because we've won, but I got sort of felt before that even if we'd lost, I still don't know if I'd have said it was the wrong decision because you think about like the the run in that's coming and like Dallas had made comments about it both pre and post match that like we have to rest them at like they have to like the amount of rugby that some of them have been playing and it's like what do you could play the let's use the quote unquote full strength like A team. They could have gone to Bath and they could potentially have lost. Then you rest them against Quins because you'd have to rest them, and then they go into Bordeaux away. You know
yeah.
what I
I
mean?
mean,
I didn't feel like that was like a right or wrong answer, but everyone was acting like it was like this really big, like disappointing thing, and like I didn't pay money to go and see this, blah blah. And I just thought that it's a difficult job being a coach. Like they said he even said, like, I've got to rest them at some point. Like, what do you want me to do? Like, there's a chance that there's, funnily
You
enough,
say
there's
it's
a
a
chance you
difficult
send.
job, but Dawson's making it look easy. So
No,
like,
yeah, exactly. But the thing is that it's not, right. Like, he's probably getting criticism. He probably got criticism from left, right, and probably not, obviously not from within his own like team or anything like that. But like, the criticism came pretty thick and fast from pretty much all corners, like fans, commentators, etc. Alike, of like, why have they done this? And like, even before, and like, straight up, I love Dan Bigger, and I love that he was at the team. But like, he was very, showed a lot of humility post match after the result. But he was on the program saying, I'm really, really disappointed in this, and flat saying, we wanted this to be a really entertaining game, and essentially suggesting it wasn't going to be. And I was like, I still felt like even if we'd come away and lost, I feel like it was still always going to be entertaining. Like, we still have really good try scorers in that team, right? Like, like. I don't really know where they were kind of getting it from, that it wasn't going to be entertaining. I was like, because I feel like the one thing we always do, even if we kind of don't come away with a result, is like we do entertain in one way or another. So I just kind of felt a bit, but then maybe it worked in the team's favour, right? Because Freeman said in his post match, everyone wrote us off straight away. And if we learned anything from the Leinster game, if you're the other team playing Sachem, we're like, please stop doing this, because it's gonna cause them to turn up in like a certain way. But I also felt like it was a bit unfair on some of the, well, maybe unfair is like the wrong word, but what kind of message is it sending to other people who are sort of playing and getting a chance to play in a big game of like, well, we think that you're going to be the reason essentially that they're not going to win because we're missing this player in this position. And yeah, obviously it really lit a fire under their bellies, which is obviously good.
That's the thing with this side, is like we almost don't have enough rugby to see them all, because the side that they
Yeah.
played is a really exciting, great team. Like, the lads that went down there, I want to watch those players play. But it's almost that because you've condensed the season, which I agree with, it should be a condensed season, so you get more opportunities to get the best players on the pitch. Like, I'm not disagreeing, but because of that, consequences and not having won these games and whatnot, so you often get these amazing players that you don't actually get to see enough of. And maybe that's the issue. Maybe people aren't well versed enough in the side to know how quality a team that actually went down. Like, I texted my mate beforehand saying, like, supposedly we've sent down a second string, but have you seen it? Like, it's absolutely a quality
Yeah.
side. And then after the first 10 minutes, you're like, oh no, they're more than able to hold their own. They're bang up for it. And I said last week that you can't rule set, like, the tougher the game, the more likely we seem to win. And I said that I thought we would have more chip on our shoulder than Bath would, and I said that I think they'll be bang up for going down there and proving a point. And then when you make the point, when you take out the sort of the 10 players or whatever that were supposedly the first team, whatever, like, it's even those players even had more of a point to make, and that the performance was like sensation. I mean, you look at the side and you go through it, and there are probably 4 players who are definite, they're in contention from it, right? But if you think of the 50 that didn't start, and you've got Fischetti, he was one of the players of the autumn series. Langdon's obviously out at the moment. Tighthead, we went strong, but Luke Green is a pretty good player. He's not even getting a look in at the moment. Lockett is out injured. JJ was rested. Alex Coles is one of our form players at the moment, rested. No Kemeny, no Pearson. Pearson's one of our best players. Mitchell's probably one of the best players on the planet. Finn Smith, Dingers, Furbank, Slights didn't start. It's just insane that without those players we could still put that side out. And I'm just, like I said, I haven't seen anything like it from Saints, and that the vultures are circling, I think, and I don't think we'll keep this squad together for too long. So we've got to win something.
Well, most of them are signed up, aren't they? To be fair,
That's a few big names. I mean,
yeah, but
Yeah,
the thing is, I think the ones that were the naysayers on Facebook and everything will say it's because you're not playing Finn, you're not playing Mitchell, you're not playing JJ, you're not playing Coles. So people that obviously don't go that often, they're seeing like 4 massive stars that will walk into any side in the Prem, and they're going, why they're not playing them against Bath. Well, to be fair, you've just seen the backup are just as good.
Yeah,
Like you can't say
so
the little Frenchman. I just hope. I know we're not going to be able to, but I just hope we can keep him. And McFarlane, that was like a man of born. He was absolutely exceptional, wasn't he? He's not like thinking, "Oh, Mitchell's on fire, so I need to up my game." And that's all it's going to do. It's just going to make these boys get better and better. And you got to think most of that squad that played were like mid-20s and younger. It's
yeah, I
scary.
mean,
It's
we've
it's really
we've talked
scary, but
about we've
good.
talked about players who weren't playing, right? Then maybe we should what we should really talk about is the performances of those who did, because
Yeah.
they warrant some amazing praise, don't they? Like you talked about McParland there,
My God.
20-year-old kid, isn't he?
Yeah, it's insane,
Yeah.
man. He didn't look 20, did he? He looked a
Like,
seasoned pro in his peak.
yeah.
Yeah.
I would say like he's probably the one I'm the happiest for out of everyone because I think he got like the most criticism, and that's not to avoid the fact that there were a couple of performances where he was like subpar, and I'm sure he knows that. But that was a performance of like a 9 that's made 100 plus caps for a team easily. I don't even think that's hyperbole to say that. Like he was under so much pressure at some points, not just from Bath, but sometimes when there were a couple of like silly mistakes we made in with like strange passes that put us under pressure, and he like, didn't blink. Like, he got us out of danger a couple times, and just I think bossed it from start to finish. So I know we're going to talk about some of the other people that kind of did I know we're going to mention like Freeman, Pollock, and Hendy, people that did the flashier stuff. But I feel like that whole performance actually really comes down to like the 9 and the 10 together, like all of our performances usually do. And so I feel like I know they gave it to Fremo because he got the hat trick, but I think if I was going to pick man of the match, I'd probably have him really, really up there at Parland, possibly even someone I'd have picked if not for the fact that obviously usually hat tricks tend to be
Yeah,
like in
I
9 out of
agree.
10 cases you score a hat trick, you're going to be man of the match kind of irrespective. But I think that game was bossed and handled so well from him and so maturely from him, which is insane for a 20-year-old, let alone a 20-year-old that's had some of the criticism that he's kind of had coming at him as well. Like that it makes it even harder sometimes, like mentally, emotionally, psychologically, to kind of hit that level. But yeah, I thought it was astonishing.
Make no mistake, like those tough games that he's had are the building blocks for him to put in a performance like that.
Yeah.
Players don't come out ready to go. Not many of them fresh out of the box. Henry Pollock, superstar, right? They need to have game time. They need to be put under pressure. They need to understand the level that they need to reach, and they need to feel it and experience it before they know how to get there. And I question. The club say all the time we're a development club, right? And what does that really mean? Like I query that sometimes. What do they really mean by that? But you cannot deny that McParland is a perfect example of what a developing player is. You've got to take the rough with the smooth when you're playing young players, and we've had some games where he's had some tough evenings, tough
Yeah,
afternoons on a rugby pitch, right? But they've made him a stronger player, and that is the fruits of your labour, because that performance was, like you said, exceptional. So assured, so controlled, so aggressive, so willing to just go out and play. The step for
yeah,
his try, the bravery of doing that, outstanding. What a player.
Yep.
yeah,
Can't add any
yeah.
more to that.
But it's what always kind of made me a bit confused about why he would always get picked on, because I was like, we've seen Finn Smith have, and he'll admit as well, like horrible performance. Like it just happens sometimes, right? And like probably going to happen even more when you're young. And there were some situations where with McParland we didn't have a 9 available and he had to start, and that's probably not what would normally happen. He probably wasn't at the stage on his kind of like rugby journey where he was necessarily expecting that. So yeah, it's like a massive learning curve. But like you said, if I'm sure he'll be happy that you know if those performances and those kind of issues that he had and struggles that he had is what led to that kind of performance, and he's probably going to be happy he had them, even if it probably really sucked at the time. Like, so, sometimes you have to have them. And yeah, I think it was just in particular like the people that stood out, who always stand out, that was kind of like half of the course. I think it was just more how impressed I was with the people who had probably felt quite a lot of the criticism at them, because we've named the players that didn't play. So inevitably, if you're the player that's being picked instead of them, you know that the criticism is, even if not specifically directed towards you, you know who they're talking about when you say like, oh, they're bringing their B team or they're bringing whatever. And I just think so many of those players had like standout performances. I thought like Chonyamanga was everywhere from start to finish. And you could also tell was like absolutely enjoying every second of it. Like he was cheering everything. He was like up for it like the whole way through. But I also just thought that his play was like like I said, like exceptional the whole way through. So it's like some of those plays, like they really. I never like to see the criticism because I always think sometimes I think it's a bit harsh and a bit too far. But you also can't deny that that's probably not alongside their natural talent as well. Like definitely something that probably pushed them towards those kinds of performances.
Yeah, I don't think you can go into the Prem without a bit of stardust and a bit of magic. I think you do need that within your side, and I think we had that in abundance with Pollock and Fremo and Hutch. I
Yeah,
thought, they're three players that are more than in contention to be a first team player, and they stood out. They were exceptional, right?
yeah,
And they gave you that X factor, that stardust that you need to perform at that level. But the physical dominance that we exerted at the gain line, and both sides of the ball, both attack and defense, were that Chick, Graham, Prowse, Munger. I thought the four of them were brutal. They were just bang up for it, aggressive, like in the face of every single Bath player, fought for every inch, made so many strong, dominant carries. I mean, Ed Prowse was even like flinging it around like he thought he was Anthony Bellew at one point. Like he was out. I just think he's becoming like really in contention to be. I know JJ is JJ and he's got levels that no one else can get to, but Prowse is putting his point of difference on the pitch as well, and he comes with real physicality, some delicate hands.
yeah,
I don't think we're dropping off a cliff when we're going from JJ to Prowse. I don't think it's you know 12 to 2.
yeah.
There is real small gaps between them. JJ has things that no one else has. There's no doubt about that. But the difference between these players is so minimal because it's a whole squad development, isn't it? Every player is pushed and develops and getting better. And as I think James Craig's been quoted to saying that iron sharpens iron. And you can
Yeah.
see, can't you, from that squad of the depth of talent that is. I thought Ed Prowse for me was outstanding, along with McParland.
Yeah. I don't think I could pick anyone. I honestly think it's genuinely one of those where, if you said like who's man of the match, you could genuinely make a case for anybody in the 1 to 15. Like there's actually a way to say like it was them because of XYZ, and like that just wasn't what I was. Like I always still tip us to win, but I didn't think that was going to happen. I'm not sure that many people thought that was going to happen. Like, I mean, it definitely is worth you mentioning. Like, like I said, we were very physical. We didn't let Bath play. They were definitely a bit off color from what they're normally like. I don't expect that performance to happen again. Or often. Like they have lost some games this season, a few games, but I don't expect them to be that completely. I think the word that like both Bigger and Flat used in the post match discussion was like lackluster. That's probably the best word to kind of describe them. It was just, if you wanted to say like what's a team that looked like they had too much Christmas dinner and just couldn't get back on the pitch, like
Yeah.
that really felt like the way to kind of describe what they look like. They just weren't, and I think it's really summed up by like Ollie Lawrence at the end. He had the chance to get them a point. He had the ball in his hand and he just dropped it. And I've seen that about 4 or 5 times. I still don't understand how he managed that. I think it just kind of sums up just where they were that day. Just like it just wasn't working for them. So I fully expect them to like bounce back, but I feel like it takes nothing away from definitely takes nothing away from our performance because we just that first half was close, but yeah, in that second half we just gave them nothing. I think it's the kind of key thing.
Did I
Clinical.
jinx Russell though? Because I did say hopefully he's had too much turkey. He wasn't really mentioned. I've watched it back and I've watched the highlights, and I don't think I saw him in the highlights.
No,
So
I
that just says
think
it all, doesn't it? And I'd get a good mention for the day's captain. I thought Callum Chit, he looked amazing,
Yeah.
and that he was involved in that Hendy Pollock try, wasn't he?
Yeah, that
'Cause he made
tackle
the
on
tackle.
that tackle.
Arundel was
Yeah,
on
yeah.
Arundel.
you
Super-
see where he's tracking from, because we know like Arundel's pace is like insanity.
Insane.
Like when that guy gets running, like his legs are moving so quick. I'm like, whoa! Like for him to just track him all the way and like from quite far down and track all the way across like in this like diagonal line to catch up with him and have him dislodge the ball. And then I mean Hendy at the moment is like, I don't even know how to kind of describe it. Like I know him and Tommy are up for player of the month this month, like the Gallagher player of the month, and I still feel like a lot of people will be tempted to say Fremo, but I'm so tempted to say Hendy just because of how he's been playing. Like it's not just the try scoring ability, it's setting people up, it's picking up the ball, it's seeing potential, not just seeing the potential for what he could do, but like the ability to do it as well. Like that pickup of the ball, like it was like hot potato. Like he could have dropped
Yeah,
that, could just as easily have dropped that. I think he's been playing out of this world at the moment. I think he'll admit he still has some work to do under the high ball, but he's definitely shoving himself into that England conversation. Like, I can't see how he's not, just with the way that he's playing at the moment. Like I said, there's still things to work on. I'm not saying it's like a definite, but I'd be very surprised if he's not like on their radar, even if not for the Six Nations, but as a future prospect, certainly. Like, he's just playing so well at the moment.
It's the more he's playing, the better he's getting as well. Like, he came back
Yeah.
from a few little knocks and minor injuries and whatever, and it's like he would have some moments of brilliance followed by a few sort of calamity,
Yeah.
sort of whatever you want to call them, when the ball's bouncing off his face or coming off his shin the wrong way or whatever it may be.
Yeah.
But then he'd had moments of just like pure genius, and the more he's playing, the more it's moving towards those genius moments, and he's cutting out the sort of the errors, that because they're playing at such a high pace and with so much intent, that it's hard to be brilliant every single time. But the more they're playing, the more brilliance is coming along, and it's just that high ball. He's got to find a way of becoming dominant in the air if he's going to step up to international level fullback, because we know from witnessing Furbank's time as his debut as an England fullback, and that the press and the England fans are brutal, and you wouldn't want to put someone in a position whereby they could be exposed to some of that brutality, from the so-called fans, when that could break someone, because it is pretty intense at that level. But he's class, and he'll get there.
Yeah, it definitely helped, I think, in that obviously Ram was playing in this game, because then you just, you have someone that's like, well, he can get the high ball, because we know what his skills are like under him. Obviously, he's not always going to play with him, and that's not always going to be an option for him. Obviously, we hope that they play together as often as, we want to see everyone as often as possible, but, the talent that we've got. But yeah, I think they said there's still some way forward for him, and like I said, I have no doubt he'll get there, because I'm sure if everyone else has identified that as a skill to work on, so have they. If we can see it, they definitely can. So yeah, I've got no doubt he'll get there. Maybe the Six Nations is perhaps a bit too soon, but give him some time, get him to keep playing. When some of the lads are going to go away, obviously, with England, Scotland, Italy, etc., over the Six Nations. Like, you figure Hendy's probably a key person to be playing in most of those PRC fixtures. So it's just more time, isn't it? Just time not just because training can only do so much. I think all the players will say that, right? You can only simulate it to a certain level, to a certain ability. Like, you need to be doing it in matches, in actual tests against other sides. So yeah, hopefully the kind of running is really positive for him in terms of getting more time to kind of work on those.
And it's confidence as well, confidence in doing it. Stewart has this unbelievable reputation, like, for being amazing in the air, right? But he had a pretty poor autumn international series under the high ball, and he had a pretty poor, some poor moments under the high ball against whoever Tigers played. I watched the game, can't think who it was, at the weekend, but his reputation's not diminished. Like, everyone still thinks he's the greatest thing in the world under the high ball. But it's once you get that one first impression at that top level, and if you go in confident and smash it, you can run with that to the end of your career, regardless of whether you can or not. Whereas if you go in and like Furbank had a bit of a really rough start, like the conditions that he started with, and he got a few poor ones under the ball, and then suddenly his reputation, which is just completely inaccurate, isn't it? Because he's incredibly brave under the high ball and pretty good under the ball, but reputations get sort of stamped final from your first game at the international level, so you just don't want that to happen to someone who's so good and so talented. But who else do we want to talk about? Anyone else in that? I mean, have we said how good Freeman was? Because, oh my god, he was good. It's such a difficult one, because he's like the world's best winger, in my opinion, but he's also like probably the world's best 13, and give him a chance, he'd probably be the world's best 15. But he's so good at cutting that line, that angled backing line, running or going down the outside. I mean, why are we the only team that seem to expose Lawrence consistently? The amount of time we get those outside arcs on him, and he's grabbing the air, trying to catch up with a winger or a centre.
You know,
We seem to have them exposed, don't we?
you know what? It makes it even better, makes it even sweeter. Is them up the road released him and we signed him, so it just makes it even better.
Yeah.
I think the key thing really is and I was speaking to a friend of mine about this when he messaged me about the game and about Freeman. Like, he's just it's becoming that kind of person that's like just indispensable. Like, he has to be in a side. Like, he has to be in a team. Like, whether that's England or Saints. Like, because of what he can offer you. Like, we talk about utility backs, and sometimes utility backs can struggle because you're good at multiple positions, but you're not necessarily exceptional at all of them. But you get selected because it's helpful to have someone who's at least solid in all of them. But with Fremo, you have someone that genuinely is world class in two positions. And I've always said personally, I think his best position is centre. But the difficulty you have at both Saints and England is the people that you already have that can play in those positions. Like at Saints, I feel like we've got really good wingers and we've got really good centres, and he has to fit in there somewhere. I think for England, I think the reason that why I assume he's probably still going to get selected on the wing is just because of who they have at centre, and they probably don't necessarily have as good options. They've still got really good options at wing. Like, and that's not to diminish them, but
England's wing options are pretty.
No,
pretty
they are
good.
good, yeah. But it just feels like that's probably where they're more likely to put him. I mean, like I said, I think Lawrence got quite heavily exposed, but I also think he's been really good at international level. Like, I still think he's got a good reputation there. And then obviously you've got Dingers, you've got a Jomo. I'm sure there's probably some other people I can't even think of off the top of my head, but obviously, that's two centres from Bath and from Saints who are in that conversation. And so I think naturally it just is an easier discussion to have him in the wing discussion. But I mean, he said that centre is I believe he said centre is his favourite position. He wants to play it more. But I mean, like, I think Danny Kerr said it post game. He said, you've got someone that's world class in two positions, and it just becomes a case of like, you just physically are not going to be able to not select him or not put him in teams. Like, no way England are dropping someone that can offer you world class options in two different positions, and like genuine world class options in two different positions. Well, not just he's good at covering both. Like, he's absolutely world class, exceptional. So there's absolutely, and he made that. And that's not to say that what he did do was easy. This isn't what I mean. But like, he made all those try scoring opportunities and everything he did just look easy. And that's like a whole other level of class, right? Just to because it's not right. You've got to pick the right angle. You've got to get yourself in the right position to make your run, pick your angle, make sure that you can pick the ball off if whoever's passing it to you. Like, we think that sounds really easy, but of course it's not. But he just made it look like the simplest thing in the world just to smash through all three times.
I think it comes down to what he can't do more than what he can do, because he's world class in both positions. If you compare him to other wingers, he probably, even though he's rapid, he probably hasn't got the top end pace of a Rundle, a Slytome, a Radwan, whatever, right? So he's world class finisher, amazing under the high ball, really solid defensively, class handling, cuts great lines, really good. So, but he hasn't got that top end pace as compared to some of his competitors for those wing positions. Then, in terms of, he's probably more of an attacking centre in terms of his stature, the angle of runs, his ability to go round, over, or past defenders, right? But what he probably doesn't have at this point yet is that defensive sort of aggression in terms of over the ball. At 13, you often get a lot of opportunities to get in and over the ball and get turnovers. Like we saw with Hutchinson at the beginning, I think it was away at Gloucester, and he had the opportunities, really good, got over the ball. You don't see that a lot from Freeman. And so potentially you would have someone in that position who is going to get you those opportunities when they rise. I'm not saying he can't add that to his game, obviously, but it's if you want someone desperately in the 13 channel who can get over the ball and win you possession, you're probably not going to pick Freeman. He's probably going to end up on the wing. Or if you want someone on the wing who's got absolute gas, you're probably going to move him into 13. So it's that's probably the decision making as to what are you prepared to give up to have him in, because he's playing no matter what. But would you rather a 13 that can jackal, or would you rather a paceman a winger who can absolutely beat men with nothing, sort of?
You can say that, but then it's not all about the pace, is it, as well? Because he is absolute beast of a man. He's tall, he's big, and he bashes people out the way. So he's sort of like
He's not
a
slow
mix
either.
of he's a mix
I'm
of
not
And
calling
he's
him
not
slow.
slow, no. Yeah.
I'm not calling him slow.
No,
by the
no,
way,
no, no,
but
he's not slow.
yeah.
He's not as quick as like I know what you're saying, like Radwan and that, but Radwan can't tackle, jump, score tries like
Yeah,
he
yeah.
can.
No,
So
no, no, no,
that's
exactly.
the
Yeah.
difference.
Yeah.
And he's just shown up 2 of England's centres that play for Bath. So it's
Yeah,
one of them. You're literally stuck where you play him. Like I just think you could probably play him prop and he'd still smash it. He's
But
that
you
good.
have the likes of, Feaboso, who can pretty much do
Yep.
most things, and Roebuck's pretty impressive as well on the wing.
Yeah.
Slytome's an absolute animal if you can get him fit and firing. Like, he brings aggression beyond belief in defence, and is 10.8 seconds meter, whatever it is, pace. Like,
Yeah.
he's got the complete package as well if you can get him fit and working. So, like, it's just that balance for them, isn't it? And that's what I think. It's like he's definitely playing, and it's not a case of he's a jack of all trades, a master of none, because he's a master of so many things.
Yeah.
It's just he's not 11 out of 10 in both positions, if you know what I mean. And where he's the 7 out of 10 in one area, you might put that 7 out of 10. He might dictate his position in for England.
Yeah.
For us,
Yeah,
I
that
think
makes sense,
he's a centre, but then who the hell do you drop? Like,
Yeah.
Hutchinson
Yeah.
and Dingwell, two of our best players, and
Yeah.
it's impossible. I couldn't pick the team this week at all. It's a waste of time talking about it.
Unless
Because the thing is,
you move him to fullback if we do lose Ferbs.
Yeah, which he could
Possibly.
become world class at fullback because he's so good. He's so underrated under the high ball. Like, you don't see him drop a ball.
No.
Nope.
But he just goes about his business under the high ball. He's nothing
But
more
you're
to be
right.
said.
Like,
He's just
at Saints it's difficult because, like you said, you think, well, you can't not play Dingwall and Hutch together. Then you think about the wings. You think you've got like Hendy, Ram, Tadara, Ollie. Like,
yeah.
it's like it really is an embarrassment of riches, isn't it? Like, and it feels like, and this is no sort of shade to, it's not intentional shade to Bath, but I feel like the key difference you saw between us and them is I feel like we've got like world-class talent that we've kind of developed, and not to say that Bath haven't done that in some cases, but we all know the stories about the people that they've brought in. Like, no one makes no bones about it. And so it kind of feels like and this isn't, I don't hate Bath or have any strong feelings either way. Like, I was happy for them when they won last year, but it just feel like, it did feel like world-class, like developed talent beat, the world-class sort of bought talent in some ways. As it was kind of nice, from that perspective, like, without trying to, because I have literally nothing against Bath. I think they're a really talented side, and they've been playing really well this year. But yeah, I can't deny that it was kind of nice to see sort of like the real kind of like homegrown talent go out there and put their sort of game on the pitch. And you're right. I don't even want to think about. I know we normally try, but I don't even know if it's worth trying to figure out who's going to pick this weekend. I mean, Big said to Dallas after the game, like, well, does this give you a headache next week now? How difficult is it going to be to pick people to play Quins? He was like, oh, thanks, Dan. Like, he's obviously already he probably knows that. He's probably like, I could pick, he could justify picking the exact same 15 based on how they played last week, right? I don't think he's going to, because I think the team that plays this weekend is going to be the team most likely that plays against Bordeaux, because we talked before about we're a momentum side, and whoever he's going to play at Bordeaux away, I think he has to play realistically against Quins to just get time under the belt, momentum, and get into the European swing. I think that's exactly why he made the changes against Bath, and why I think it was a good decision. But it's going to be really difficult for him to sort of tell people like, probably like at Parland and Munger or Prowse, like, I'm probably not picking you this week, even though you were outstanding at the weekend. Like, and that's the thing though, isn't it? I guarantee if you asked a head coach, like, would you rather have it a really easy that you can pick the same 15 every week, or would you rather have difficult discussions where you've got more than one player for each position that you could pick, but it means you obviously have to potentially let people down? They're still going to pick that second option because you still need in-depth talent, especially these days to perform on both fronts, like to be able to perform in a Prem, to be able to perform in Europe. Like, it's so difficult, and there's a reason that it's not necessarily happening as intensely now, but at one point it was just dominated by kind of France and Ireland who were able to kind of, particularly France, who were able to put loads of money into it, and they could basically have two first teams. Like, it's so difficult to be able to compete on both of those fronts. But I feel like out of all the English sides, we're probably in the best position to be able to do it. And so you definitely take, I think, a job where you have to make really difficult weekly decisions rather than, I think that's why I agree with you about the team that won in 2014. Felt like in 2014 we had a really solid 15 that was so talented, but they played all the time and they won the title.
Yeah.
And we didn't really have a, and as a reason why we did really well the year after, but then it started to fall off of a cliff because you're still picking those 15 because those were the best 15 that you got. But the problem is when they start to not play very well, you're stuck. Whereas we're not really in that kind of position now. We're in essentially the complete opposite of that, where they've now just shown they could pick two completely different looking groups of 15 individuals with some obviously similarities, some regular people in both, and they could go out and do a job.
Yeah, 100% that, and it's like they've purposely built that depth, and we don't have to go into, but we can't go into, but the bit where we had that 15 where Jim was so loyal to the players that did so well, yet he was bringing through these youngsters and he just didn't blood them, whereas Douse has blooded them, given them opportunity, and what it's given him is a squad that can compete on two fronts, domestically and in Europe, which is just unbelievable. Management from the whole company, the whole club is being sensational.
We did forget just one thing. We did forget to mention the hookers, by the way, because Craig Wright's the big star man at the minute. He wasn't even in the 23. So
and Robbie was class,
big kudos to Robbie.
Robbie was so good. Yeah,
he was amazing.
Robbie was so good. If you're Langdon, you're sat at home like, oh God, like
that's what I mean. Like Curtis Langdon and Tom was on fire before he got injured, and Tom Lockett was like pushing his head up to be a first team outstanding starter, regardless who else is fit. He would be in the team. Both of them are unavailable and injured, and barely missed a beat because of the quality that can come in. Munger and Prowse and Robbie and Wright, etc. Just unbelievable. Right, we are running out of time, but I want to cover, and we won't spend too much time talking about the Quins game because I think we could go on forever about those debates. You go through the whole team and there's two or three players that are worthy doing it right. But I want to cover one thing, and I want to go straight to the side because I know you disagree, Jess. I know you and me disagree on this, right? So the incident in the game side whereby we had the try disallowed due to holding on at the ruck.
Yeah.
Opinion.
I'm not even going to mention the rest. There's so many bad decisions, like the one with Chick. They said it was a knock on, and there's someone's put a picture up on social media. He didn't even get his hand there. Joe, I can never say his name without swearing. Joe Rock.
Cognizinger.
Yeah.
He got his hand there. So it's tough, mate. I know. I saw your debate. I was at work. I saw you two debating and arguing. I was like, I don't know who's to. I'd say devil advocate and stay in the middle.
The point I would make though is, the point I would make though is, whilst there is a technical argument to say that is correct, and that TMO has gone looking and found it, I can look at every single try scored and point to the technical fault.
Yeah.
The Dunn try, there was clear obstructions and offsides. One of the Tommy Freeman tries, there was a clear in from the side that opened space that gave us the quick ball to get the ball out wide. The Pollock try, the line out, there was a clear and obvious obstruction at the line out. Right, so where do you stop?
Tommy and Henry were literally mocking them, not intentionally, just like, are you sure you don't want to check this one? They were doing like the TMO stream, weren't they? How many times do you want to check?
I think if they hadn't done that, they would have looked. And they would have found something.
I think it's why my issue wasn't with the ref specifically. I still think he made the right decision based on what he's shown. I think my issue is with kind of almost like the power of the TMO to interject in every single, in some instances over others. It just it felt like, and I suppose it also depends on how obvious things are made as well. So I don't think Urbano did it intentionally, because he probably didn't know he was facing the other way, so he didn't notice what was going on behind him necessarily, but he made it very obvious he was being held. And so sometimes a TMO has seen something on the screen, something really obvious, and they kind of come in. But I think it's more of a broader discussion of kind of not necessarily the ref, because maybe it's against the grain. I don't think it was an out and out terrible performance by the ref, but I just felt like it's wider discussions about the role of the TMO and what it's supposed to be there for and what it's supposed to do. It feels like one season it went from like the TMO never came in unless he was specifically asked, and now it's like they're coming in and checking everything off in the background. And I'm like, we've gone from like one extreme almost like to the other. And so I feel like it's more of a question of like, what is their role? What are they sort of supposed to do? And then it wasn't even the ref or TMO's fault with the non-chick knock on. Hamish Smale said, I've seen a knock on, and a ref has reacted to that. And Hamish was wrong. Like,
So why didn't he just check it? He could have checked it.
No, I know.
Let it
but
play out. You should let it play out and then check
my
it.
issue
Yeah.
is that Craig could have held off on blowing the whistle for what's literally 2 seconds. Like, Tadaro was going so fast, like you could have let it play for it. You literally would have let it play for about 2 or 3 more seconds. Like, you weren't saving time by pulling it up. And then, yeah, as it turns out, and I don't think that, I know people have their own opinions on like Freeman and Pollock and like what they were doing. Like, I don't think it was mocking. I don't think it was actually mocking the ref.
I didn't mean mocking.
No, I know, but some people have said the same thing. I don't think that's what they were trying to do. I think it's probably just a natural like frustration of like it slows a game down for one thing, doesn't it? Like, you know, I don't necessarily have an issue with the decisions that were made. Some people do. I don't. But like, I just feel like it's how slow it can make a game and how frustrating it probably is, and like to have 3 essentially, well, 2 knocked off and 1 that should have been given but was called back before. Like, it's probably just born out of a natural frustration. And then if you're Bath, you're probably thinking this is the worst thing because they're already getting on top of us, and now they're just getting frustrated. Like, it just kind of set us forward to kind of, you know, keep pushing. But yeah, I think it's more like a broader conversation of like, what is the TMO supposed to do? What is their role supposed to be? And it seems to be different between different DMOs between games as well. Like, so it just needs to be like a standardized. It doesn't feel like there is a standardized way of kind of a TMO working. Like, sometimes I can be at a game at the Saints and I've got the ref mic on and I don't hear the TMO once, and sometimes I hear them go, oh yeah, I've checked it, it's clear, or I've checked it, it's clear, or you need to check this. Like, and there just seems to be a big difference. And it's not that there's a bad thing with having like different personality styles or styles of working, but it's just so unstandardized right now that I think that's really what the key kind of issue for me was during the game. Was like, okay, how long is this game going to take if we're going to check every single try that's scored?
Yeah,
I think it's down to referees. It's, if you're like, I can't remember, was it Holly, the female ref we had the other week?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Was it Holly? Yeah, she was absolutely exceptional, and she just took the lead and she told the TMO, like, no, I've made my decision, do one. Basically, that's the point. It's all down to the referee and their perception of the game. Like, Craig, I'm not going to diss Craig McElkeys because he's done so much stuff in the past. I think he even contemplated quitting, didn't he? So, but he's never, in my opinion, been up to standard. So he needs the TMO just to back him up. But it's like you both just said, you need a common level where you can't have 1 week where the TMO is making the decisions and the next week have the referee making the decisions. It's just crazy. It's crazy.
I'm not criticizing the decision per se, right? I'm criticizing the inconsistency as to what they check. So it's not I disagree with the decision because I think it didn't impact the game, in my opinion. You could argue they purposely did it, held him on, created the gap, but he was going the wrong way anyway, and we moved into that space in slow motion. It looks like he's holding on to him for 10 seconds, but it really wasn't that long. And we disagreed as well in it was a Tigers Chiefs game, wasn't it, where they had a try disallowed because a player pushed another player off the ball but it wouldn't impact the try, in my opinion, right? We don't have to agree or disagree, right? But the point being is there are technical faults that they think they're finding, but they're so inconsistent in finding them because there's so many other clear and obvious faults throughout the game that are ignored. You know, how often do you see a player being held in a ruck and they sort of swing their arm down to get them to release? You know, they sort of whack their arm to let them go. Happens throughout the game, but that's not a penalty. But it is a penalty when it's apparently more important. Like, it's such an inconsistent decision-making process. And the Hamish Males calling a knock-on that's not a knock-on, that I have clear and obvious issues with because he can't have seen what he called.
Yeah.
You know, he can't have seen it because it didn't happen. And so that's just a pure fundamental error that actually impacted the game quite a bit because we'd have gone 14-0 up. Whereas what happened, we were 7-0 up, and suddenly they had possession in our 22 when they scored from it.
7-7, didn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, so it had a big impact on the game. when he called something that didn't even happen. It's like that Manu Tuilagi and Ashton fight where the touch judge
punched
said
him.
that Ashton punched him or something. Like, it didn't happen. So
No.
that boggles me. I don't understand how someone can call something that hasn't happened.
Do you know what?
But-
That probably fired him up more, and then they made him have the performance like they had in the second half. Because they're like, "Come on, the referees aren't giving us anything. We're gonna have to do it ourselves."
I don't, like I said, I don't think he had a bad game as a referee. I'm not criticising him. It's
I meant touch.
this sort of inconsistency that we're getting with the sport makes the sport really frustrating and really hard for a neutral to understand. Because it's why is it happening there or not happening there? Oh, this makes no sense to me. I can't get into this game, right? And it's like one of those things, and it frustrates me, and it impacts the development of the sport, I think. But anyway, let's wrap it up there.
We should definitely end on a positive of. I don't think of a positive. We're top.
We're top in 2025.
Talking of top, Sai has established himself once again at the top of our prediction league by none of us got the margin, all of us got the result. Kemeny didn't even play, and I didn't even have a chance with the try score. but Tommy got 3. I think every time you've picked Tommy to score, he's got a hat-trick.
Oh really? Right,
Well,
don't pick
anyway.
Tommy. Let me pick Tommy every week, and then we're all right.
I keep picking someone that regularly scores, and then as soon as I pick them, they don't. Like I'd have put like my whole house on Hendy getting over the line. He had to pass it to Henry, didn't he?
You've got my curse because that's what I did last year. They either didn't score or they got injured.
Now it's my turn.
Yeah.
I keep picking players who don't play. That's my issue.
But then you moved on to Tommy, didn't you? You picked Tommy. I was like, I've got Tommy. You know about?
Yeah.
You changed.
But yeah, no. Top of the table is a.
Well, to be fair, who did I change to? I know this.
You changed from Tommy, and he changed to somebody else.
But I can't remember.
Yeah,
this could be fundamental. This could be fundamental. Who did I pick?
Could be fundamental.
Oh, who did I pick?
I still know I picked Henry's one out.
I swear you said
Unfortunately, I'm trying to scroll back, but there's so many us debating that trial on it's fine. Because I could have picked McPartland. You never know.
You picked Rami.
You picked Ram, yeah. I just
Rick Ram. Okay, well that's good. That means nothing changed. Another win to Sai.
Everything's fine.
So let's go into Quins. I mean, Quins. I'm just going to say it. Quins are rubbish. If you sign for them, you're making a big mistake. That's what I'm saying.
So my friend I mentioned earlier is a Quinn support, right? So he messaged me the day of the Bath game. I was like, that was, Saints fans must be so happy right now. I was like, yeah, it was unreal. And then he messaged me a couple of days ago and he went, oh my God, we've got you next. And I was like, yep. And you're abysmal. Like, not doing. I mean, sorry, Quins, but like they will admit it themselves, right?
All you two are doing are jinxing us now. We'll probably lose now. Well done.
Probably. We'll bring in the second string like Mitch and Finn and Dingers, the second string.
That's what I mean. We have to use our B team this week, but I think that the problem is, I think the issue they could maybe we'll get like egg on our faces afterwards, but it just feels like the issues at Quins are so fundamental right now that I don't see it personally. When
you haven't had a solid defense in about 3 seasons. Their head coach changes every week. They lend their scrum coaches consistently out to Wales, so it seems like their scrum's been pretty weak for a while. Even though they've got some.
Who's picking first?
It's me, and I'm going 42-41. Mitch.
I don't think I ever
42-41.
Yeah, I don't think I ever get to pick.
I said 42-21. 21 margin.
Right.
You do go first. You went first a couple of weeks ago. Sorry.
It's fine. Whose goes it now then?
It's Jess now.
Okay. Wait, who did you pick for scorer? I missed that. Mitch. Right. Okay. I'm gonna pick us to get 50. Let's go. I can't do maths. Let's just go 52. Let's go Quins at like 19. I'm gonna assume they're not gonna get the bonus. I don't just want to do the easy thing and steal Tommy, so I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna go.
I'll just put Tommy in for side. Don't worry. Just bear with me.
Yeah. Just do that. I'm gonna go for. I don't know because I don't know. Oh, let's go. Herbst. I'm assuming he'll be back.
Yep, Ferb's cool.
Against his so-called new club as well.
Well, if it's anything like Thomas Williams' performance against Sarries, like it brought out some of the best play I've ever seen Thomas Williams do, as if to make a point. So maybe Ferbs will do the same thing.
Yeah, but the thing is, Thomas Williams might have to fight his way into the Sarries side.
I don't know, man. He outplayed Ivan Van Zale so easily. Maybe not.
Yeah, but no,
yes,
they've got a couple of good scum halves. I don't think if Ferbs goes to Quins, he's going to have to fight much for his starting jersey.
No, that's true. That's
probably making captain and coach by the end of the first week.
Right, I'm going big. I'm going 58-12.
That'd be so good if that.
That would be.
And Tommy.
And Tommy, obviously, already written it in. Yeah, brilliant. Okay, brilliant, cool. Thanks everyone. Thank you very much, everyone, for listening. It's been a pretty good year of the podcast. Have a good year, everyone. We'll be back after the Quins game in the new year. But thank you for listening this year. It's been a real pleasure. I've been Charles. Simon's been Simon. Jess has been Jess. Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys, and Happy New Year.